All right, so I want to talk about probably the most confusing aspect of Dragonkin the Banished. And I was going to make two separate videos about this, but we're just going to combine them into one because they kind of work together. I'll have timestamps below if you need to skip forward. But we're going to be talking about the Wyrmling, which is your pet, and the Ancestral Grid and how they work and how they work together. Come on, you piece of junk.
It's Hawg, baby.
About y'all, you got Hawg. Thanks for stopping by. So, Dragonkin just came out. There's going to be a pretty good amount of people playing it. When I first jumped into the demo, I was kind of confused on how exactly all this works. Now, just so y'all know, there is an in-game guide. It does a pretty good job. So I'm just going to, give you the basics and you play with it some more, and you can go into the in-game guide here and it'll teach you what you need to know. Yeah. So you got your Wyrmling, okay? This is a pet that is designed, trained to fight dragons. That's what you do a lot of in Dragonkin is fight dragons, trying to banish them out of the land. They've taken over the land. So you need this guy to help you out. There are 4 different types, but basically, like this one we've got selected, they have an attribute screen, just like you do. You've got power, malice, ferocity, and loyalty here. Each one of these attributes here correlates with different ones that you choose, and they are highlighted depending on which one you choose. Again, the refund, just like your attributes here, refund is free. Highly encourage you to just play with it and see what everything does. Like I said in my last video, the developers encourage you to play with things. That's why there's no penalty to change things up. Okay? So you pick what you like and see what you want to do. There is a NPC called the Jailer. You press R to bring up this fast travel. You just click on the Jailer, it brings you right to him. Here are your 4 choices for the Wyrmlings. You've got Ice one, Fire, Toxic, Poison, and Lightning. You can change them at any time. Just go equip and you've got him. Keep in mind that I'm not sure that it's like a law, but it's a general rule of thumb. Whatever Wyrmling you have is what fragment is going to drop. So if you have a lightning Wyrmling, you're going to get lightning Wyrmling stuff that drops. If you have a fire Wyrmling, you're going to get fire Wyrmling stuff that drops. Now, it is possible to get other element stuff that drops, but it's pretty rare. So if you really want ice stuff to drop, you need to equip the ice Wyrmling. Not every Wyrmling has the same attributes. Each one of them are a little different, so keep that in mind as well when you're picking which one to use. I like the cooldown reduction ones right here. Not everyone has cooldown reduction. Another thing that you can do at this NPC is craft armor for the Wyrmling, and the armor gives your character different bonuses, like this one's bonus walk speed, increases loot quality. I just have not personally gotten here yet because I don't have the mats to do so. You can also change the color, which is a cool little feature. Now, it is very important that you use the Wyrmling. It is a huge damage boost. It targets the lowest resistance, so the lowest element resistance that enemy has. So if he's weak to lightning, it targets that. It also chooses your highest multiplier that you have when you have Symbiosis. So that's the whole goal of it, is to set up your skills in the Ancestral Grid so that you have Symbiosis. I'll show you that in just a second with your Wyrmling. And your Wyrmling, when you deal damage with your damage dealer, your Wyrmling is proccing and doing its thing. Okay, so that's your basic 101 on the Wyrmling. make sure you don't overlook him. I did ask the developers about that. They said he is designed to be a huge part of your damage boost, so you want to make sure that's working. Let's look at the Ancestral Grid now. It's, for some people, it might look a little confusing or it might look a little dumb, but this thing is actually really awesome. Each class has a different shape. So we're going to look at, this is the knight right here. It's pretty similar across the ways. It's just different shapes for how you set it up. It's not randomly generated so it's not different for every single person. So if I were to make one and you were to make one, same class, they'd be different. No, it's just different for each. So each, knight looks like this and each barbarian looks like the barbarian. So each Wyrmling, let's start with the Wyrmling ones first, okay? You see in green, Wyrmling skill. This is electric because we have an electric Wyrmling and these we're dropping. So this one's called Call of the Tempest. Upon activation, the Wyrmling causes lightning to strike at random locations around the character. There's many different variations of these Wyrmling skills. Some buff you, some do things like this one's cast around. This one's a deadly orb. Upon activation, the Wyrmling has a chance to create a slow piercing projectile. Some buff you while inflicting damage. The Wyrmling has a chance of spurring the character on, increasing their attack speed and energy regen temporarily. This is a really good one too. Just a few examples. But the nice thing is when you hover over the Wyrmling skill, it will highlight in blue other fragments that it works with, particularly character skills or your skill gems for PoE players that might be playing this. So we see in the center here, we've got Show of Strength. It's kind of like a sweep. It's a big AoE melee attack. And we want to add our Wyrmling to it. We want to make it work with our Wyrmling. It's very simple. When I first started playing the demo, I was putting it everywhere. Like, why isn't this thing working? Because you see, it comes red when it's not in the right area and it's not working. As long as this touches the skill, it will work. So whatever skill you want to activate your Wyrmling, you just touch them right here. That's it. As long as they're touching, as you see, I'll hover over the Show of Strength skill and it's completely locked in. It works. It's in green. Now, I talked earlier about Symbiosis. Symbiosis, you see right here, says active, 8 modifiers. Symbiosis is the ultimate form that you're trying to achieve with your main damage dealer. And like I said before, it's a huge damage multiplier. You really need to make sure that happens. See how everything is green? That means that I'm affected by 8 modifiers. So that'll actually allow us to lead in to talk about what are modifiers and how do you set up your grid so that it's actually usable and you can use 8 modifiers, because that's a little bit of a challenge. So the basics of the grid, you have the outside area. You can put 50 fragments out here. The fragments are these pieces that we've got here. Fragments also have rarity, just like your items do. So you have common, uncommon, legendary, mythic, whatever. They can either be pure support, what I call support, they're the modifiers, or they can have a character skill and modifiers. So, cool. Or they can be Wyrmling also. They can be 3 hex, 2 hex, 1 hex, 4 hex. 4 is the most that I've found, but I believe there's 5 or more. And you see here, this is uncommon. They can be common. Things to know. you see the 2 next to the lightning bolt here. That corresponds to the numbers next to when applied. When applied, when you have a total of 3 lightning bolts, it gives you an extra projectile. So if we were using this with a projectile skill, we would need 1 more common modifier that would just give us 1 lightning. All the commons just have 1 lightning. This is something to take in account because you don't need excessive ones that are over that limit. Perfect example would be this. We've got Show of Strength. We've got a double strike uncommon modifier. It's 2 lightning bolt. If we get 3 lightning bolts, it's a 30% chance to do a double strike. So we add this double strike right here. That's 1. It brings it up to 3. If you hover over the Show of Strength, it will tell you right there, you see 3 lightning bolts, 30% chance of striking an additional time. But some people will think, I got this Shattering Shield right here, and it's got a double strike. I'll just add it. I got plenty of spots, and you'll go in here and add it. But in reality, you're wasting a spot on your board because you've got 4 lightning bolts now, but it's not giving you anything additional because you need to get to the next level 15 lightning bolts. So in reality, you would just have to find one that has a way higher rarity that would give you the higher lightning bolts. That's something that you always think about when you're building your hex board. Now, the main question that everyone's going to struggle with is how do we actually lock in Symbiosis? And how do we actually chain together all of these different ones? Because you'll notice if you take, one here and you take a bunch of 1s, you'll see that you can't just stack those up like that. It works here. It works there. But it doesn't work there. Okay, but why? Why does it work right here, but it doesn't work right here? Well, that's where the 2 hex, 3 hex, and the shapes and all come into play. These 2 are linked together. They're touching. So if they're touching, then that is touching. You see? These 2 are touching, but because they're not linked together, if I stack another one on top of it, it doesn't actually affect that. These skills do have keywords. You see right here, it says keywords. It's just like PoE. It has, or I guess, and Diablo 4, where it has keywords you have to pay attention to. And certain modifiers do have compatibility, like this one is physical. It has to be used with a physical, like Show of Strength's physical, so we can use it. So let me just walk you through how, let's try to get a full 8 links out of this, just give you an idea, and then you can try to figure it out for yourself. It is part of the fun of learning how to do the game. I just want to show you the bare basics of how to set it up. So we've got this. We want to add our Wyrmling skill to it, and we want it to be in symbiosis with the Wyrmling. Okay, so we've got our Wyrmling skill. We're going to use electric reinforcement. We want to make sure it's compatible. We're going to hover over it. Our Show of Strength in here, it is compatible, so we're going to stick it up there. Always hover over your main skill. Make sure everything's in green so it works. Okay, so you know it works. Okay, and the next thing I want to do is add some physical damage modifiers. Okay, so we do have the 1, and we have the 2 there. We need 1 more. Okay, and we've got 3. No more of those. We've got practice makes perfect. That works. Now we've got an option here. We can come in and give us this. Now we're sitting at 7 out of 8. Now the way around this is to find a 2. and substitute it in. So this is the move we're going to make. I got a 2 right here. Now I don't necessarily want, actually no, it's double strike that I don't want. I don't necessarily want the double strike because it does less damage, but just to demonstrate how to put it together, this will work. So we've got this shape right here. They're both modifiers. This should work with what I need it to do. We hover over, they're both in blue. We look around for what adjustment we're going to make so this fits. Okay, so if we move this up, everything's still touching. We're still at 7. Okay. We should be able to make this move. Bring this in. We just had the symbiosis happen. Here we are. Then once you get one that's got symbiosis, then you can start looking at your other skills and trying to get them to symbiosis. Okay, there we go. Now we actually got 2 symbiosises here, one at Show of Strength and one at Scarlet Thrust, which is my generator, and it generates my fuel. So that's your ultimate objective there, is to have some symbiosis going on, and we've got 4 skills. One thing to note is to set where these go, you just drag and drop where you want them to go. It's real easy. There's no extra screen or anything like that you got to do. But that's it. Basically, if you want to move these back, you just right click them out. There you go. You've got symbiosis. So they actually, you see they've got symbiosis here. And so now we're very powerful. But yeah, that's that. I just wanted to give you a basic overview of how it works. I'm gonna be streaming this all day, so hopefully this helps you out if you're confused on how the Wyrmling works or how the Ancestral Grid works. I'm really enjoying this game so far. Hit like and subscribe. Let me know how you feel in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.